celebrate the Global Pulses Day, which is not a century-old tradition actually, but it's one of those thousands of days of this and that the United Nations have established. In this case, I believe in 2016. And the United Nations did that because they recognized the great importance of leguminous plants and especially of pulses, also for a transition of agriculture into a more sustainable direction. The Global Bean Project would like to take this opportunity to share with you some of the diversity of beans, and the beans for us are only the icons of the whole family of leguminous plants, which includes even certain trees and all kinds of legumes and pulses. To start with, I would like to share a few technical details with you. If I can, yep, there we are. Thank you. Okay, so that's easy. Just mute yourself unless you want to talk. The next thing is you can rename yourself if you wish, like Bernd Schmitz, ABL tells us that Bernd Schmitz is from the Arbeitsgemeinschaft Bäuerliche Landwirtschaft, or Konrad Bucher is from the ÖBZ, which is the Ecological Education Center in Munich, and so on and so forth. And finally, please do attend the chat. You can use the chat for questions that we are collecting, especially on the main presentation we will have in a second. And we will also share links with you, important links, such as how to vote on the bean contest. And also one thing I wanted to announce before we start. Next slide, I think. Yeah, well, we went through this already. Go ahead. Oh, no, it's also not the one I wanted. Anyway, in the chat, those who are familiar with this, how they can upload a picture. You can still upload your favorite bean, and it will participate in the end of this meeting in our announced Bean Beauty Contest. We will put it up on the gallery, and you can vote for it. So if you want to last minute participate in the Bean Beauty Contest, please upload your picture, give us your name there, and also a few sentences about the bean you have just uploaded. Now, before we really start, I would like to introduce our Global Bean Project to those who are here for the first time, and that would be on the next slide, I think. Exactly, the Global Bean Project is run by a community of, at the moment, we are already nearly 50 partners from 15 member states of the EU, but also from Kenya, from India. I saw that we have a partner joining even from Hawaii, and we are open for more bean and pulse lovers from all over the world, even though it is an EU-based project, and our funder, the Federal Ministry of Environment in Germany, wants us to emphasize that this is something to do with the European Union exchange of civil society on sustainable development and so on and so forth. We are running this initially for the next 2 years, more or less. We will organize 2 seed fairs. We will organize cooking events. We have a list of gardens who will participate as show gardens and share the variety of beans they plant in diverse regions of Europe and Africa, and maybe also India. and they will share this via videos and mobile phone exchange. We will produce cultivation instructions and information sheets, and we are presently building up an information hub, a dedicated website. So far, we just have a landing page where we want to provide public information, where we want to provide the bean lovers of the world an internal exchange platform. It will include social media and a video channel where this meeting and many other meetings will be recorded and conserved and can be watched later. So if any of you would not want to appear on one of these public videos, please make sure to turn off your videos, so or else be aware that your little stamp size picture might appear on the YouTube channel of the Global Bean Project. We want to offer translation for specific pieces of information. And the whole idea of this project is that we would like to bring together organizations, individuals, companies, institutions who want to promote the use of pulses, the use of leguminous plants in gardens, in school, in education, everywhere but in the professional arena. We are not a project who aims to educate farmers and professional gardeners about bean cultivation. There are wonderful networks and we are closely connected, and some of these networks are also participating in this project, but we are not a really professional bean cultivation, processing, marketing, and so on and so forth, or researching project. We are bean lovers, and this is what I wanted to tell you briefly about the Global Bean Project before we now directly move on to the, one more thing I wanted to mention. Those who participated in our last meeting gave me some feedback, and we would very much ask you to contribute your feedback this time again, so we better understand what you like and what you don't like. It's a Mentimeter feedback thing. Very briefly, this is an overview of most people liked our last meeting. Very many are looking for new information, looking for exchange, and some also are looking for ways to better present already known information. These are the three areas in which we are active. You can see that a majority will continue to attend our meetings, and also we had quite a few people who want to join our network, and you are all welcome to do so if you like this session and the whole concept of the Global Bean Project. Next slide. I won't go into all the comments we also received. Next slide. And here you can give us your feedback on this session. You will also find a link in the chat now and at the end of the whole thing, and it would be great. I have to apologize to the first time I set up this Mentimeter thing, you could only answer the first question and not move on. Now, when you click on it, you can go through the whole questionnaire, and we would be most obliged if you did so. Thank you very much. And now over to Patrick Kaiser from the Genbänkle in Swabia, who will take us through the history and diversity of beans at the occasion of the World Pulses Day. Over to you, Patrick. And if you would like to say a few words about the Genbänkle at the beginning, you're most welcome to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, also a very warm welcome from my side to everybody. Great to have you all here, nearly 100 people and 100 bean lovers here on this World Pulses Day, where we celebrate the beans and their benefits for our health and the planet. And I saw in our round that I'm surely not the biggest expert about beans, but yeah, somehow I got the honor to talk about the topic today, and I'm happy to give a few aspects of our bean diversity on this special date. So the topic is clear: exploring bean diversity. My name is Patrick Kaiser. Now, talking about beans, I firstly wanted to clarify that in this case, I'm not covering all the beans. That would be needing much more time. I only got this 25 minutes where I tried to talk only about part of the beans, and that is now I'm focusing on the phaseolus group. So I'm not covering that much the broad beans or soybeans or Vigna varieties, which also might come to mind when you hear the word bean, as they have it in their name. But today I want to talk about phaseolus. That means bush beans, pole beans, the scarlet runner beans. Exactly. I also have it in different names here. I've also found it interesting part of diversity to see how the word common bean is named in all the other languages, and maybe you can also find your own language in this list of common bean names. We can see it's quite a diversity. They don't feel so similar, but yeah, most will know it as common bean, also phaseolus. Exactly. Yeah, as mentioned, I'm talking today for our trust Genbänkle, that is based in southern Germany in the state of Baden-Württemberg. We feel that old varieties are culinary treasures and they preserve biological diversity. I guess a lot of people here in this round feel like that. And in our region, we try to show people how they can find out where old varieties are cultivated and where they can get the seeds for these varieties. And therefore we list, we network, we visualize initiatives and organizations in Baden-Württemberg and try to bring it together to show people where the seed savers are active. We organize courses and talks on the topic and try to give people advice where they find the good old varieties. We also focus on searching the varieties. So we have a campaign.
Yes, I think Patrick is frozen.
Yes, he probably needs a minute to reconnect himself or fix his internet connection. We'll wait at least 1 minute to give him a chance. And if he doesn't manage, then we will have to move forward. But everyone has a break to stand up shortly, get a drink, or share your favorite bean. There he is again.
It's sorry, the connection was lost in between. Can you see it again?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, then I just tried to, I hope so far you all got it, so I can continue from that point. Yeah. Okay. Exactly, then coming to the first point of the overview of legume families, I was happy to find this nice drawing from our European-wide initiative Logomai from Do-It-Yourself Seeds, where at least a lot of the groups are shown from the Fahrradsehe, not all of them, but major parts. And in total, if we look on the phaseolus group, here the major groups, families are shown. That is the Lima bean, the lunatus, and we have the garden beans, the vulgaris, and also the Phaseolus cucineus as the scarlet runner beans. But in total, there are more than 70 plant species in the phaseolus group. Many of them are not so known here in Europe, but these days on a global scale, we differentiate between 70 plant species in the phaseolus group. And of course, if we look into the different genus, phaseolus, for example, again, we have all the different species, and within the species, plenty of varieties. That is also what is part of the talk now, to show a bit of this diversity of so many beautiful varieties of phaseolus group. So coming to a short history about the beans. The beans, I guess many people already know, came to us only kind of late. The people in the global scale used it already much earlier. It originated in native and Central South America, and it arrived to Europe only in 1506 with the Spain and the Portuguese discovering the New World. And we have, for example, in Germany, our eldest illustrations from Leonhard Fuchs in the new Kräuterbuch from 1543 as an example. And the archaeological evidences show that domestication took place in two different areas in the same time. So we do have evidence that it also was started, cultivated in the Andes area, but also in the Mesoamerican area. And here we see in the pictures the wild forms, which are of course smaller, and they are much more variable in shape. And also the speciality is that their pods, they burst open themselves to spread the seeds, which we of course try to stop then by domestication. Nowadays we want the pods to keep the seeds. If we try to harvest it, it's one of the traits which domestication took away, that these pods are not bursting anymore and spreading the seeds. Showing that on a map, you can also see the places of the eldest findings from beans. One is in Tecuan, that in that place they found it like 5,500 to 7,000 years before the present. And also in the Guitarrero area, in the cave findings there, it was dated like 8,000 years before present, which is, I guess, quite amazing that they are already so old. And here we see in the different colors also the different gene pools coming from the Mesoamerican, the northern Peru and Ecuador area in yellow, and then this light blue color, the Andes, where we have different gene pools, and they were domesticated before the people got connection to each other. So that proves it was domesticated in different locations at the same time. And yeah, I mean, today we want to keep it more for the hobby gardeners, but still maybe interesting if to look on the phylogeny of the phaseolus group. So not all of the beans are the same close as others, but if we look when the different families separated, we can see, for example, the Lunatus group is much more different than others. For example, our runner beans and the pole beans, vulgaris and cochineus, they are, so to say, closer than, for example, this Lima beans, Phaseolus lunatus. That is, of course, interesting if you look on the biological background of these varieties and how much they can also mingle with each other, or which type of crossings might occur, to see it in this way, how far they are related. Exactly. Then coming to the next topic of beans in numbers, of course, there would be plenty of different interesting numbers. I just picked out a few. And for a first starting question or fun question, I just wanted to start a short poll about the question, how tall was the biggest bean plant ever measured? I mean, maybe many of us are growing beans in their gardens, and if we do have some kind of experience how high it grew there, but coming from the World Guinness Record book, it's interesting to check what was the highest beans ever measured. Many are answering, thank you. Wonderful. I hope that everybody can see the results coming from this question. Many of us even took the highest number. 55% told it's 14 meters. A few also went for 11 meters, and only a majority for the 8 meters. The right answer really is the 14 meters. So I found that also really astonishing, keeping in mind how high 14 meters is. That that was grown in US by Staten Rory of Rienzi in Mississippi, USA. It's a really pity that they kept it, so to say, secret, that you have to buy the book to see the picture. Otherwise, I would have loved to show a picture from this 14-meter high bean, but I found some other nice pictures. If you Google for it, you see people in England and other places trying to go for that record and growing the bean as high as they can on their homes. So that is a really cool thing to do. Maybe some of us are also interested to challenge that record of 14 meters high bean. But coming to more numbers regarding the production. Here I found a nice graphic of production share of dry beans by region on the globe. And as we can see, if we look on the dry bean production, the major part comes from Asia. We can also feel that when we go for the shop and buy a pack of beans, it's mostly coming from Asia, a lot of it from China. Also in US, it has a tradition of baked beans and comes to the plate more often, and they grow 32% on a global scale. But it's a really pity that we in Europe only managed to grow 2.3% of dry beans, which is really too less. And I hope that this number is going to increase much more in the coming time. So yeah, that is really a small number. I guess, of course, the other countries, some also have more people, but still, I guess there's a lot of potential in our place as well. And one other number now coming to focus on Europe, the production quantities. Within Europe over time, we can see that lately it is rising a bit, but still coming from 1994 till 2018 here, it never increased much. So it always was kind of the same, only fluctuating very less. And I hope this curve is going up now the coming years, that we produce more, and under more area we grow legumes. Just as an example, as I only found these numbers for Germany, here I have a graph showing what is growing then in our fields. If it is not pulses, we can see here for Germany, we grow most of it, we grow wheat, then a lot of it also in, we have corn silage. These numbers are always in 1,000 hectares, followed by barley here, rapeseed, rye, corn for grain, sugar beet. and the pulses only take 244,000 hectares. And that is a lot of lupines and broad beans and peas. And if we pick out only the beans, the phaseolus part, it's only 4,000 hectares. So that is really, really less. Putting it in percentage, it's only 0.02% of the German fields now used for beans. I guess that could be much more. And as we talk about diversity, I had a look on the gene banks to check how many accessions are there in our gene banks, where the potential is hiding. And here we have a few nice high numbers from CIAT, for example, in Colombia, storing 37,000 accessions of beans. A lot of them are always land races. That also shows that the beans lately never came so much into focus for breeding. All the numbers mainly are land races. For example, the IPK Gattesleben in Germany also stores 8,600 accessions of beans. And also more than 5,000 of them are land races. And recently the Genesis is a network homepage trying to collect all the accessions on a global scale. It's a platform where you can find the information about plant genetic resources. And if you go for phaseolus there, it's coming up with 160,000 accessions of beans. So unbelievable high numbers. Of course, accessions doesn't mean that they are really completely different varieties each, but at least they were so diverse that the gene banks all took them as separate accessions. And I guess there's a lot of potential hiding there on the ice. And we hope to get much more of these varieties back into life and into field as a living heritage from our ancestors who brought up all this great diversity. Then reasons to be enthusiastic about beans. I guess many of us already know that they are really good for our health and for the planet. That's also the reason for the World Pulses Day today, to celebrate it, to show these benefit of pulses. And a major part of it comes from the fact that legumes help us to get work as a natural fertilizer, as they do have the symbiosis with a bacterium, which is like living on the roots of the legumes, and in exchange against photosynthesis products, it's fixing nitrogen components from the air, and therefore is fertilizing the ground and is giving nutrients to the plants. And it's a great chance to get away from chemical fertilizers, to grow more legumes, to increase the soil fertility. That's why they are really good for our grounds, as we nowadays unfortunately lose major parts of our soil fertility due to too intensive agriculture, and legumes could be a great chance there to help us. And also thinking about ourselves, our bodies, beans are really healthy meat substitutes. If we compare it here, 100 grams of beef fillet against 100 grams of black beans dry, we can see that the beans even have more protein. They have a lot of fiber. They're really good in iron. They do have calcium, a lot more magnesium, cholesterol they lack, which meat has. And also coming from the price, we can see that beans are much more cheaper than meat. And also with the water, it only takes a really short part of the water than compared to beef. So therefore, it's really good if we grow more beans, eat more beans. I think in 80-50 they ate like 20 kg of legumes per person a year, and nowadays we only have 2 kg per person a year. And the many organizations, they recommend that we should go up even up to 27 kg per person for a healthy planet. So talking about beans as a food, we do have the questions here. What is your favorite preparation methods of beans? Is it stewed? Is it as a salad? Or you like it as a puree? I would ask everybody to shortly answer that questions. Thank you very much. The answers are coming fast. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So we see nearly half of us prefer it as a stew, as a soup, then also followed by the salad. People do eat a lot of bean salad. Some like it pureed and others baked. So it's also, of course, diversity in the taste. And it's good to know, yeah, in this group of 100 people, how many people like it in which way. Having a look on the global plates, we can see it a lot in Mediterranean kitchen here as a Tuscan ribollita, then may also in Italian white beans and tomato sauce in some restaurants. We do have it in the American kitchens in a baked form, or here in Louisiana, it's favorite with rice. In Brazil, it's also a national dish with beans and rice. In Germany, we often have it just cut in pieces as a salad. So I guess there are so many great dishes of beans worldwide. We should explore these more. And yeah, shortly coming to the point of how to sow, grow, and harvest beans. For those who are already doing in our gardens, it's a really good thing to do, because fresh beans and also the diversity of dry beans can't be bought so far always from the shop. And therefore, if you have a space for growing beans, it's a good thing to do. Bush beans are taking more space on the ground, but they come earlier with the yield. And we start sowing them from May to July, and then you can harvest the pods or also later the dry seeds. And if you want to put some sticks or other things to go for pole beans, that is also a good thing to do. The harvest starts a bit later, but therefore they can climb up high and produce even a bit more. And that is also great either for pods or for the dry seed then. And only take care if you store it. If you dry the beans, it should be also, no matter for food or for seed, you should store it dry, cool, and dark. So then you can keep it for longer time. Beans can, seeds can be kept, for example, up to 5 years. And one problem always is the bean velvet, this small bug coming in the beans. You can see it here in the picture, also multiplying in the storage. So to make sure that your beans are not eaten up by someone else, it's a good thing to get rid of them by putting the beans a few days into the freezer after your harvest. And yeah, having a look at time, I should come to the last point, impressions of bean diversity. I found it interesting that in some countries even own bean museums. Here in Bulgaria, for example, where always there's a bean festival celebrated and people have nice things made out of beans. Of course, it's always beautiful to go to the garden and see the diversity of bean pods coming in different colors. I really like the colorful ones. They are found more easily in the green leaves if they are blue, for example. They do have beautiful flowers. At the beginning, people grew beans in Europe mostly as a decoration for these beautiful flowers. Later, only they managed to grow food out of it. If you open the shells, it's always surprising how beautiful these small pieces of art are in the pots. Some countries already managed to grow it in a larger scale, for example, combined with maize. Here, the Styrian scarlet runner bean, Käferbohne, where they used maize, corn as a supporting culture for the bean to climb up. And then later they harvested by threshing it both together and sieving out the beans. And they already managed to produce like 300 tons of these beans in this area. That is a good thing to do. It's also inspired from the old traditional way of growing beans in Latin America, the Three Sisters milpa system, combining corn, beans, and squash together, which can be also tried in our areas, but maybe use a more little type of squash, otherwise it will put down the corn. And for the end, I only wanted to show a few more pictures about celebration of beans. A few of my favorite, like the tiger eye bean here, or in Germany, it's quite famous, the ones with the angel on it, Monstranzbohne as a pole bean. From our trust, we found different varieties, local varieties like this Heiligenberger Russe, going back to the Russian area from Second World War, then it established here and people grew it here. Or the scarlet runner beans always come more as a population, as they are cross-pollination each other. So it's always nice to see the runner beans coming in different colors. Lima beans really love it hot, so only grow them if you have a wall or some warm place behind them to get a good harvest. We sometimes find beans only with one family left, for example, Schäfermädle here, which was the Swabian Alp, kept from one family for 150 years before we found it there and spread it now again. And yeah, I guess they are really beautiful. That's also a part of our topic now later for the Bean Beauty Contest. And that's why I will end in this place with this last type of bean pictures. As I said, really great artistic things. Kaiser Friedrich, for example, here's also a famous pole bean, which was then not supported anymore in Second World War, or even forbidden, where we lost a lot of varieties. These pictures come from ÜBZ, here the Croatian variety of pole bean, this one named Candy. And then I thank you everybody for your attention, and I hope that we get some minutes left to talk about your experience with your experiences with beans and your favorite varieties, and coming to the Bean Beauty Contest. And yeah, thanks a lot. I hope I could give a few interesting points about beans. Of course, you could talk about it much longer, and now hopefully we get a few minutes left for questions. You can put them in the chat or also ask them directly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We can also use these clapping hands and stuff like that. Wonderful, Patrick. Thank you very much. That was great. And we are taking questions. I only saw one question in the chat so far, which I diligently tried to answer. What is the difference between harvest and production? The two types of when you presented the numbers, right? You were talking about I think it's area harvested and tons produced, right?
Exactly. Yeah, the one was about the area in harvested area, and the other one was the production itself in tons. One is in hectare, the other comes in tons. Yeah.
Okay. If there were any direct questions, you can raise your hand. Here's so many that it is not easy to keep you all, to see you all. I have to flip through 5.
I think we have a lot of bean experts in our round here, so you can use the chance to ask any questions. Yeah,
we do. But well, people are so expert, they don't need to ask anything anymore, Patrick. I think. And so we probably move on to the...
There's one question which is interesting.
Okay, please.
Why are so few beans being grown in Europe?
That is a real good question. I also don't find good reasons why we shouldn't do it much more. But coming from the history only, I saw that they really went down with industrialization. As I told, in 1815, they harvested a lot and they used legumes like 20 kg a person. They also used it as a staple food in winter times, which could be kept at that point of time. And they didn't have much more to store food properly. And then, yeah, with industrialization, it was very tough to, for example, for the pole beans, to set up a system where you can harvest the beans climbing. And for the bush beans also, it needed time to develop specific threshers. And we do have growing area for broad beans, but we use it more for animal food. But I guess, yeah, we just need to put much more attention on it. And people still have this wrong images in mind. Oh, beans, some digestion problems, or beans, yeah, they are heavy in stomach or whatever. And they forgot how beautiful and how healthy and good beans can be. But I guess now Europe is understanding it, also coming from all the new research projects and support for the agriculture European Union and the countries are doing. They try to push it, and countries are setting nice goals to increase the production area a lot the coming years.
Just for 1 second, I mean, like, the way I answer it on the Weltacker in Pankow is you have to look at increase in meat consumption, and at the same time the plant protein consumption goes down. So we have, yeah, it's quite obvious.
Probably I could also add, when you look at the consumption, the highest consumption of pulses in general for direct food is in Asia. Obviously, India is the world leader in that consumption. And when you look at the United States, the Americas, there are two types of cultivation. The one is for human consumption, but a way bigger one is for animal feed, right? And there it is a cash crop, of course, and it is imported to the animal factories in Europe, right? And that is a global work shift, so to speak, which has enormous and terrible environmental consequences. Okay, Salvatore Ceccarelli, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I think that one of the problems is that although we have a lot of diversity in Italy, beans have remained as small crops, a small crop grown in small area. And the consequence is that in US, and I see that the same is happening in UK, in US the cultivation is on a large scale, so that the consequence is that on the supermarket in Italy, we found the beans from Minnesota, although we have quite a large amount of diversity. And the beans from Minnesota come to the supermarket at the lower cost than Italian beans. And I'm wondering whether the same is happening in other countries, but I understand from Eckert that the same is happening in the UK. Your microphone is closed.
Benedict, du bist stumm.
Benedict, you...
sorry. I think we would actually want to move on to the presentation of the beauty we have collected. We have received still a few more beans in the chat and try to incorporate them into our bean gallery. Before we go to the bean gallery, once again, I would like to ask you to look up in the chat the link to the Mentimeter where you can give us your feedback. It will appear in the chat in a second. And with that, I would hand it over to Lisa for the gallery. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you very much. We have received a lot of pictures of all of you over the past 2 weeks. And it's very exciting to see the huge diversity that there is. And we would like to give the chance for the people who participated to the contest to say a few words about their pictures. Because there were so many, we tried to make a selection, but still there are quite a lot. And we would appreciate if you manage in half a minute to say a few words about your image. And later we will share with you the link for you to vote for these pictures. Here's our bean gallery on the 2,000 square meter platform where you can find the pictures organized by flower, plant, or seeds. And every category will have a winner. So we can go up and start maybe with the flowers one. And I would invite the person who sent us this picture to talk.
I think it's me, no?
I think
I'm not sure. Hi, I'm Virginia. This is a pea I grew last year in my garden in Berlin. I'm not sure about the name. It's somehow a marker pea. I had several varieties, so I'm not sure about the exact variety, but it looks really beautiful with these colors, with these 2 colors. So that's why I posted it.
Thank you so much. We can go to the next one. And I see Bernd Socha. Is Bernd here? Okay, perhaps we can move to the next one, which is also from Bernd. So one more in front. Is Nicolas Carton here?
Yeah, hello everyone. This was part of a small experiment I made in Freiburg in Germany. I was comparing more than 25 pole beans, so I cannot say now which variety this was, but it was a time of flowering. They were all flowering at different times. It was quite interesting to compare.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Is Elisabeth here?
Yes, hi. This was at the tiny farms in Brandenburg, where we also grew different varieties of beans. But this was actually green manure. And by chance, a befriended chef told me that, or showed me that you can decorate your plates with it, and they're very tasty. I think it's veg. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next picture is from we move on to the plants contest. So we have also for plants quite a few pictures, and we start with Hannes. Is Hannes here?
Yes, I'm here, and I refer to the contest which Patrick was making. How high can beans grow? Of course, this is not the one that grew 14 meters, but in our garden we had a kind of roof of beans where the grandchildren could play. So I think if I would have measured our beans in our vertical garden, they would have easily reached the 14 meters. But of course, this is a fava bean, which you see, but it's mixed up with other bean plants, which we all got from Greece, from Peliti. So you see the seed exchange is working very well already.
Thank you very much. This is the second picture from Hannes, also from this.
Yeah, there you can see, you know, that was the kind of roof building, and it became a kind of jungle in the end for the grandchildren.
Thank you. Is Rosemary here? Rosemary from Weltacker Attisville, I believe. Okay, then we can move on. This is also a picture from Rosemary, and then we have Nicolas.
Yeah, again, that's from the same variety comparison.
Thank you.
And this one as well, yeah, with the maize, I was trying also different maize varieties to see which ones were able to hold the beans until harvest. And I could find some, but most of them were actually too weak, which also depends, of course, how dense you sow them and how much nitrogen there is in the soil. So there is still a lot to do to improve, but I was happy to see that Patrick showed that in the Steiermark, they managed to harvest the two species together already.
Thank you so much.
And here it was a Vigna bean that was growing together with another one, hence the two different stem colors. I find it nice.
Virginia, do you want to say something about this picture?
Oh, yes. This is, I think it was one of the first years in my garden, like 10 years ago. And it never looked like this again. I think it was the beginner's luck. It was a variety of everything and a lot of different beans, and it was really, really beautiful. So.
Thank you. I think Bernd is not here. We can pass now.
Yeah.
Oh, schön. Is Gabby Horn here?
Yeah, I'm here. This is, I took this photo on my balcony, and it's just when the bean goes from the flower to the bean, or it's just this, yeah, a very small bean and a part of the flower.
Beautiful, thank you so much. It was one also of our first Instagram posts about the Bean Beauty contest, and it was very successful. And we move to the last category, the seed contest. We have also a little picture. And the picture which comes from Andrea. I don't know if she's here. And perhaps we can move on. Aldo Matteucci, Jacobs, Cattle, Solfino. Is Magdalena here? Okay, we can move on.
And that's another picture from me. That's the bean variety Genol de Crist from Catalonia in Spain. And yeah, I like to observe them when I soak them, because that's when they come to life again, and you can decide if you want to cook them or plant them. And sometimes when I cook them, I imagine what would have happened if I would have put them in soil instead. I find it a quite poetic act in some way.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's also from this climbing bean variety trials, when opening the pots and discovering all the diversity. Of course, you see the seeds when you sow them in the soil at the first place, but it's a nice surprise when you get to harvest time.
Oh, this is mine. This is a domaći kućak, or maybe you say domaći kušak. It's from Croatia. And I'm sure you will find this to be the most beautiful bean of all, and it will certainly win your vote. This is when it's just been shelled and we are about to cook them fresh. It has this most wonderful cherry color with white speckles. And it's a very well-behaved bean. it doesn't grow too tall. It grows very strongly. It has lots of flowers and produces a very prolific crop. And of course, it's very, very delicious. And just while I have my microphone off, I would like to say thank you very much to Patrick for an excellent presentation. And it's very nice to meet him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we should come to an end with this wonderful show. And now it is die Qual der Wahl, as we call it in German, the pain of choosing your favorite. And how does that work? There is a special document, which is, I hope, now in the chat. Is that right? A link to it is in the chat. Well, first of all, here is a link to the gallery we went through, and you can come back to this gallery and you can have a thorough look at all the pictures. And I would like to thank Claudio at this occasion for doing a wonderful job and loading up the last pictures that you put in the chat while we were talking. This was really great, and he spent most of the night getting this gallery going just yesterday. So thanks a lot, Claudio, for that, and thanks, Lisa, for organizing all that. And now, once you have chosen your favorite, you must remember the number the favorite has, and ideally also the name. And you would put your selection in this document that you see in the chat now, which is called Vote Here. You will, if you should ever miss it, you can go back to this document also when you go to our Global Bean landing page, and you have time to vote for the rest of the week, we would say, no longer. And then we will present the winners at our next event, which is coming very, very soon. It's the Seed Festival on the 2nd of March, where we will try to do our best to replace real exchange of seeds, which obviously cannot be replaced. And also now when you look at these beans, you want to feel them, and it's not possible, but we can come as close as possible, and we will present the diversity, and we will enable you to exchange seeds with others by presenting what you can offer and looking up what others can offer. But the Seed Festival, and it will take 3 hours. You don't have to stay all the time, but it's from 5 to 8 on the 3rd of March. We'll also have a huge diversity of films, presentations, also of stories about real seed exchange markets in a variety of regions of Europe. And there will be also breakout rooms where you can discuss special seeds with specialists. And there are also really instructive
Benny, we're not hearing you anymore. Probably have a bad connection just for the last minutes. If you're not coming back right now, then I would suggest we come to our last slide where you get all the information that you need if you want to keep in touch with us, if you want to participate to the next events. So feel free to write us, to follow us on Instagram, to subscribe to our newsletter, and you will find all this information on our landing page, which is the website you see here, which will probably also be posted in the chat. And don't forget to register for our next events.
Okay, can you hear me again?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so sorry. It's bad. Well, all that's left to me is say thank you. Don't forget to send us your feedback. If you want to join the club, please contact Lisa at Bean at 2000 square meter and make sure to come back on the 2nd of March. And do grow your own beans this year for sure. They're so beautiful. And thanks for staying with us and have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye and thank you. Ciao.